The Cursed Forest of Dudleytown. A horror story you'll never forget. The path to Dudleytown doesn't exist on any modern map. No road signs guide you. No GPS will show you the way. Locals in the quiet hills of Cornwall, Connecticut lower their voices when they speak of it. Some won't speak of it at all. Not because they don't remember, but because they do. In the shadow of the Appalachian Mountains, blanketed by the thick and twisting canopy of the dark entry forest, lies what remains of Dudleytown. A ghost town with a reputation so chilling, even time seems to have abandoned it. Ivy-covered stone foundations are all that's left of the once thriving colonial village. But what truly haunts the forest is not what's seen, it's what is felt. The story begins in 1740, when the Dudley family arrived from England. Descendants of Edmund Dudley, an advisor to King Henry VII, who was executed for treason, the family carried whispers of a generational curse, one tied to madness, misfortune, and death. The patriarch, Gideon Dudley, purchased land deep in the Connecticut wilderness, hoping to escape his family's dark legacy. For a time, life in the village flourished. Small wooden homes were built, children played among the trees. But then the quiet changed. Livestock went missing. Crops failed, despite perfect weather. A strange silence settled over the forest. No birds, no insects, not even the rustle of leaves in the wind. And then, people began to disappear. The first was Sarah Finn. She vanished while walking home from a nearby stream. Her bonnet was found on a rock soaked through, though the skies had been clear. A week later, her husband Elijah was found in their cabin, his face contorted in terror, his journal open to a single line. The trees are whispering her name. From there, the madness spread. One neighbor, Thomas Griffin, slaughtered his entire family and then vanished into the woods. His home was discovered days later. Candles melted into puddles. Clocks stopped at 3:33 a.m. and deep scratch marks on the floor, as if someone had been dragged. But no blood, no bodies. As years passed, Dudleytown became a black hole for tragedy. Visitors were driven to hallucination, madness, and violence. The forest surrounding the town was thick with an unnatural stillness. Trees leaned unnaturally inward, forming a circle. Locals began calling it the Devil's Cradle. In 1804, Reverend John Walcott, a preacher from neighboring Cornwall, ventured into Dudleytown to confront the growing panic. He promised to pray the evil away. But when his congregation arrived to check on him 3 days later, they found the chapel burned to the ground. In the ashes were the Reverend's boots, still standing upright, untouched by flame. Inside one boot was a note, hastily scribbled. "Do not call it by name. It listens." Eventually, people fled. By the early 1900s, Dudleytown was officially abandoned. Nature reclaimed it. But something darker lingered. A thing with no face and no name. Something that thrived in silence. Some said it fed on despair. Others said it was never meant to be awakened. Fast forward to 1989. A group of amateur paranormal investigators decided to explore Dudleytown, inspired by its obscure legacy. Among them was Elizabeth Crane, a young college student documenting the trip for a thesis on American haunted folklore. Her footage would never air. They arrived in the early afternoon. Laughter filled the car. Excitement buzzed as they unpacked gear. EMF detectors, cameras, and thermal scopes. As they crossed into the clearing that once held Dudleytown, their equipment began to glitch. Static, batteries drained, timestamps corrupted, and then they found the well. Covered in moss, surrounded by carved stones, etched with symbols not known to any modern language. The well seemed to breathe. The group joked at first, until night fell. In her journal found days later, Elizabeth described the forest going utterly quiet. Not the usual evening hush, but a vacuum of sound. No chirps, no rustling, just stillness. And then the whispers started. At first, they came from behind the trees, indistinct, low, like distant conversations bleeding through time. But they grew clearer. They weren't voices at all. They were echoes of their own fears. Each person heard something different. One man heard his deceased mother calling. Another heard laughter from a lost sibling. Elizabeth heard a voice whisper, "You're not alone, but you will be." One by one, the group scattered. Some ran into the woods. Others clawed at the trees, screaming. The camera footage, found in a shattered backpack at the forest edge, shows flashes of pale figures between the trees, eyes that reflect no light, limbs that move in jerks like broken marionettes. Elizabeth was never found. Since then, the forest has been closed to the public. The land is now privately owned. Police patrol the borders not for trespassers, but to keep the forest from letting something out. Yet thrill seekers still sneak in, drawn by curiosity, only to return pale, paranoid, or sometimes not at all. Locals say Dudleytown is more than cursed. It's a scar in the fabric of reality, a wound that never healed, a place where grief gathers like mist, where guilt echoes like thunder, and where no prayer can reach. So if you ever find yourself walking near Cornwall, Connecticut, and you hear nothing at all, no birds, no wind, no breath, turn back. Because if the forest welcomes you, you've already been chosen.